up on tonight's edition of The Catching Pen, we look ahead to a massive night of chasing at Sandown Park featuring the Melbourne Cup and Bold Trease finals. We chat to Bathurst manager Jason Lyon about the massive rebuild required at the track, which was decimated by flooding. And we look ahead to the other features around the country, including the Devonport Chase and Casino Cup.
Welcome along to a bumper episode of The Catching Pen this week. As the great Mark Ulmer said, we'll look ahead to plenty of features, but centre stage will be down there in Melbourne for the Bold Trease and the Melbourne Cup on Saturday night. Patch will be along in just a moment to fill us in on what's happening there at the track, but Jacko is next to me, as always, each and every week with the bone, the off-white, the beige on. How are you, brother?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. It's been a pretty stock standard week for me. The usual meetings, the Dapto Middle Distance Championship was outstanding.
Wow, what a race.
On Thursday, yeah. Cracking field, and the race lived up to all the hype. But as far as away from racing, I've had two sick twins to look after for a week. They've had gastro. Cost me a round of golf at the private Concord, so they're not in my good books at the moment.
Yeah, there's plenty of kids watching this show thinking about what their future might hold, and I'm sure they're thinking this having kids business, Jacko, doesn't paint a great picture, so you might be just steering them away, Jacko. We'll find out. Patch Adams was on deck there at Sandown. Pretty wet and windy, Patch, but we got through it in the end, mate. Looking forward to this week, though.
Yeah, looking forward to this week. It doesn't get any bigger than what we've got ahead of us this Saturday, and you're right. There was two things I was hoping for last Saturday night. It was no dead heats after the controversy of last year, and it was good weather. Didn't get that, so as I said, a relief to get through it. No racing this Thursday night, which helps us to sort of prepare everything for the grand final of the year being this Saturday night. So looking forward to that. There's always something wrong with Jacko's kids, isn't it? Or where they are at the childcare or wherever it is. But either way, nice to see him get a hold of Richie Benno's jacket for the pen on a Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we get into the news, Patch, just quickly, for those that are getting out on track on Saturday night, tell us what Sandown we're putting on for them.
Heaps happening, so there'll be a lot of entertainment on course. The dining is at absolute capacity, so general admission is the only thing that's available at the moment. You can purchase those tickets at dreamchasersfestival.com.au. So there'll be a lot going on. People have been inquiring about the soccer. We'll have the soccer on in a lot of places throughout the joint. And then after the last, I think this will be one of the more popular ones, Wiz, a gentleman by the name of Joel Fletcher, big name DJ who you wouldn't have a clue who he is. He'll be performing, and I assume that's going to be very popular, and hopefully plenty of people hanging around afterwards. Well,
it was a guy that was pumping out the tunes when I was down there shootout night, Patch. Yeah, he was pumping out some bangers, so I'd absolutely be heading out for that if that was the case. But yeah, I wouldn't be counting on a drink at the pub after the last, Jacko, because we were not admitted last time. Let's get into the news.
The Catching Pen News is brought to you by Darwin Greyhounds, racing every Sunday and selected Wednesdays.
All right, to kick off the news this week, and I guess the big ticket item, especially here in New South Wales, all centres around all the flooding, which has obviously been terrorising parts of New South Wales and Victoria primarily. And we reported the news that the Bathurst track was underwater last week, and there's been quite significant amount of flood damage, and not conflicting stories, but a lot of stories in the press, not necessarily a lot of certainty, but we've got the man that might have the answers on the line, Jason Lyon, who is the track manager there at Bathurst. Thanks for joining us, Jace. Can you give us the latest where we stand with the future, I guess, of the Bathurst track where it is at the moment?
Yeah, evening guys, thanks for your time. Still not sure yet, still trying to comprehend the damage that's been done. It's just unbelievable. But tracks had floods in the past, and I think 3 weeks ago we had near the 300 boxes had some washaways. We had to replace a slab that cracked and dropped, and the track had to be rebuilt down the back. But that was all worked, and I was actually talking to Maddie at the Greyhound of the Year Awards. I said, we're going to go back on Tuesday, hook in. Jeff and I went back to the track on Monday afternoon. We couldn't access the track because the water was up that high, and walked in on Tuesday morning, and if I did not know it was water that caused the damage, it's where a cyclone or tornado went through the place. It was just, it's still there. baffling. Photos probably don't do the damage justice. It looks bad in the photos, but it's just worse in real life. It's just, still comprehending it all and working out, where to go from here. I think it's just let the dust settle a bit and just start from scratch.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, anyone that's experienced that sort of flood damage, the devastation is stark. Mate, this might be a question that you may or may not be able to answer, because obviously you can't really speak on events that have happened at Lismore, but just reading the article as it was reported, they were sort of signing off on your death notice already, and just playing devil's advocate, I thought, well, we attempted to rebuild Lismore X amount of times. Why the certainty that Bathurst is a no-brainer going forward already?
I guess we're in the same situation. We're on a river. We're on a flood zone. There's nothing on the track that hasn't been compromised, which is the challenging part. It's going to cost an astronomical amount of money to meet minimum standards. We had actually started works in progress. We're going to have some new lighting installed in the next couple of months. Our kitchen was just about to be installed, a new kitchen will upgrade the restaurant. We're lucky that the bar, the restaurant and the main office and kennel block hasn't been touched, but everything track related has been compromised by water. So I suppose my business head, I've worked in business for a long time in various capacities, and you'd say, be very, very doubtful if we ever race at Kenniston Park again. The logical idea would be probably to find another location within town or within the region that's more suitable and a bit safer, I suppose, so that we can't get flooded again or have significant damage again.
Now, Jace, in the short-term future, we're going to see Bathurst racing being transferred to Dubbo, Gunnedah. I believe there's going to be some money invested into Lithgow to hopefully get it up to a TAB standard. But I'm also hearing a little bit of talk about a Western Centre of Excellence. Is that something now that the likelihood of Bathurst not getting rebuilt becomes a forefront for the GBOTA to try and get that up and running as soon as possible for all the participants out west?
I guess it'd be the logical step. If you're not going to do it now, you probably won't. It's an ideal opportunity to do it. We've got a very supportive council here in Bathurst, which has been fantastic. I've had a couple of councillors ring me and offer their support, whatever they can do to help. But I guess you've got to strike while the iron's hot. If there is land available or the right land, I guess now would be the right time to do it. At the moment, the roads aren't the best with holes and everything, but it's so easy to get out to our area these days from Sydney than what it used to be. So, if you're going to do it, I guess you do it now. I guess it's still in the infancy where we're at with everything, but so just have to wait and see, I suppose. But I'd just like to thank the Dubbo and Gunnedah clubs in particular for offering the extra meetings on the Monday to give participants the chance to race. And I think Lithgow's picked up an additional meeting as well, which is going to help out. So, it's greatly appreciated by myself, Jeff, and my team.
Yeah, that's great. The industry comes together as they normally do in these times of, in these trying times, Jace. Just to try and end this little piece on it, I guess a brighter note. If it is to be the end of racing there at Kenniston Park, you've been involved there for a long, long while. Just trying to recollect maybe great race days or a great race you saw. I mean, I was there MDC night for probably one of the coldest nights of racing of all time when Good Odds Harada won and then would go on to win the MDC. Probably would have broken the record on a warmer night there, Jace, but anything that comes to mind?
Oh, several. I remember Dave Pringle's dog, Buck Fever. He won a 450 one day at Bathurst, and if he didn't give the leader 8 or 10 lengths turning for home and still win the race, it was just unbelievable. You're right, Good Odds Harada. We've had some great dogs go around Bathurst in my time there. Good Odds Harada. I think as a track manager, and I think he won his heat at Bathurst, won the first series. Great to be involved. I was actually behind the boxes that night. I was working, and that's probably the highlight. And we've had just the support we've had from, I suppose, trainers, majority of trainers over the years. All our good races have been supported. Aqua Cheetah, he won his second race. His second career win was the Bathurst Cup final, and he went on to be a model group finalist and winner. So we've had some cracking dogs, Miss Blendamiro, just you name it, Skywave. They've all had some great dogs go around our track, endless to name, and let alone the countless sprinters that have gone over the 307. And the record only recently went a few months ago, which stood throughout before I even started there. So, been privileged to watch some great canines go around the Kenniston Park circuit, and even as a kid watching them. So, but if it is the end of it, there has been some great greyhounds go around the track.
All right, mate. Thanks so much for your time, and obviously thoughts with everyone in the community, and hopefully we can come up with an ideal solution.
No, thanks, guys, and thanks everybody that has rung myself, Jeff, and the team for the support. It is greatly appreciated. It's been a tough week, But yeah, we'll bounce back. No one lost their life or got hurt. That's the positive out of it, and we'll be right. We'll bounce back and keep moving forward.
Yeah, well said. Jason Lyon there, the track manager at Bathurst. Second news item relates to the increase in stakes for the Hobart 1000 this year. There was a notice that came out from the Minister for Racing, Madeleine Ogilvie, yesterday that first prize will be $100,000 this year for the Hobart 1000, which is outstanding. It's one of it's one of the oldest features in the calendar. It's the only, well, what has always been the only Group 1 run across the 3 codes down there in Tasmania. I think that maybe the harness now have a Group 1, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But yeah, as I said, one of Australia's oldest and most prestigious Group 1s, the Hobart 1000, now worth $100K. And the last news item relates to the Phoenix. Paddy Wants Pats, who was an awesome winner of a Melbourne Cup heat on Saturday night, has been snapped up by the Hallinan and Stiff Syndicate. So those guys will have the Brett and Kelly Bravo trained Paddy Wants Pats running in their place. Patch, I would have thought a pretty wise pickup.
Yeah, definitely. I think, look, a lot of people discuss sort of the thinking behind picking a dog for the Phoenix. Can you do it too early? Can you do it too late? But I think one thing with him, you get reliability. You don't get sort of fluctuations in form. So we know he's got pace. As I said, he's really consistent. So they're really strong pillars when it comes to picking a Phoenix representative. And, geez, he's in some sort of form too.
Unofficially, we have heard that RSN may be taking McInerney as their greyhound and SEN may be taking Amron Boy. That's completely unconfirmed, but that has been reported in the media, which would, I think, just leave the people of Peter Sadler in the Queensland spot. But anyway, we will we'll know more about that, especially after the heats of the Flame Run on Thursday night at Albion Park. Here's the run of the week. And this is a boy who's featured many, many times, I think, in this this segment, Patch. 24.83. When he gets the start right, Mobile Legend, not too many dogs can beat him.
No, and he's really humming. I mean, that says a lot. 24.83 for one like him who started off his career in blazing style. And look, this was his first hit out. He didn't race in October, and he's returned in mid-November to put together this sort of performance. So congratulations to the Brendan boys. Obviously got him humming at the right point in time, and now he goes to Geelong this Thursday. Race 11, number 1 in what's a pretty small field, but it's deep. And if he's going like that, it's going to be worth watching.
I dare say the previous news item will no doubt have raised the interest of connections there. Patch, 100K for the Hobart 1000. He'd be straight on the boat, Mobile Legend, if he was mine. Honourable mention, and we went to Richmond, November 18 for this one here, Jacko. Our Amelia. Up to a middle distance now for Jay Magri. She's always shown a lot of ability. Look, this was a race endowed with plenty of quality. Dogs like Wattatees, Nangar Rocket, Sombrero are not slouches.
Yeah, no, they aren't. And she's gone to a new level since she stepped up to that middle distance. She always promised a lot at the 520. She probably just lost her form a little bit, but since she's returned and stepped up in trip, she's been dynamite. And she kind of reminds me a little bit of Super Estrella, sort of, maybe not quite as fast, and whether she can get to a staying trip, I guess, remains to be seen. But she's certainly on the right path.
Okay, you've mentioned Super Estrella there. She has officially been retired. I think we touched on that last week, but yeah, she's gone back to. Probably back to the Joneses at Nabiac, so I might wave to her on the way home, Jacko. Our favourite segment, the Every Dog Has Its Day segment, and we go to Thursday at Sandown for this one. 60-1 in the old Patch, off the red, Bonnie's Beast, 29.70. You had something on, just keep cheering.
And Majestic J gets across to second, and right there, Dark Compass. Now the fave Zipping Dixie's camped off them in third. Back to fourth, Majestic J. Daksha Bale was next. On the inside, Whittakin Bale. Well back then to Classic Touch. And last of all, Daintree Lad. But the leader's going well here, Bonnie's Beast. Has got the way from the rest of the chasing pack. Trying hard, Dark Compass, but Bonnie's Beast. Bonnie's Beast wins it.
4 heats of the Bold Trease were run at Sandown Park before the weather turned on Saturday night. This week's final worth a massive $105,000 to the winner. Setting the time standard in the heats was recent Top Gun Stayers heroine, Moraine Susie. clocking blistering time when registering win 10 at start 28.
Looking for an inside run as they head into the back. They're 3 in front of Keen. On the inside was Corborn Roses, and out deeper on the track was Big Bertha running on, but Susie took off the back and raced away. Moraine Susie's 5 in front of Lakeview Patsy, and Moraine Susie wins it by about 7 on Lakeview Patsy, a game run.
41.33, Moraine Susie, a PB, a devastating performance, best of the night. And when we pull up the market for this Group 1 feature, it'll be no surprise to see her sit atop of it. 280 about her, Corborn Magic 340, Mapunga Ruby, if she was to get a start, currently 380. She's untapped a bit short, $4 stagger out least 750. Anything catch your eye there, Patch?
Not in particular. I don't look at that and think, oh, geez, how can that greyhound be that sort of price? If you're looking for one at odds, maybe Amani Bales, the X Factor. She's got a big motor, and we know when she can turn it on, she can really go. So maybe her bets. I think the market's pretty much in order.
Gentleman next to me has taken $14 pre-post Corborn Magic, so he's got none.
Yeah, just roll a line through. Over's got to. We'll get a hold of Corborn Magic, no doubt about that. Yeah, I had something on after he won at Dapto last week. I thought if he can do that to that sort of field, which we'll touch on a bit later.
Yeah, we will.
The $14 was just too good not to have something on.
Yeah, absolutely. Our first guest is the man that puts the polish on the aforementioned Moraine Susie, and Brendan Purcell joins us, and no doubt we didn't have to twist your arm too much to get you on here, Brendan, after, of course, McInerney. We got Noel on, and he took up half the show telling us how good a job you're doing and how good McInerney's going, but you got the cash.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Welcome along, brother. And Moraine Susie, mate, I guess you came to Sydney with a lot of fanfare. She had a big rap on her. We hadn't seen her interstate, come up for the Nationals, and probably came in hot, went out lukewarm, but since then she's come back to the form that I think you've always expected.
Yeah, no, that's right. I was a little bit disappointed we were in Sydney. I just thought her runs weren't quite as good as she should have went. And in saying that, like, we come home, give her a bit of a break, and started again with her. And then, yeah, like she's gone, like you said, like I thought she should be able to go.
Now, Brendan, we saw her in her heat the other night. She jumped cleanly straight onto the rail, and from there she always looked the winner. From box 8, it might not be a case of being able to replicate what she did. How do you like box 8 for her, and does it pose any problems?
No, look, I mean, it's never good when you're drawn out there, but I don't think it creates a lot of problems. It's just she's just got to be able to navigate through the field, I think. There's a bit of speed in it for a 700 metre race. So, yeah, look, if the 6 could happen to jump good and sort of come out hard, and she should be able to get it past the 7 and the 5, I would say. And then, yeah, if it could really clear him or something like that, then she might be able to come across with it. But otherwise, it's going to be up to her. Just as long as she doesn't get speared on that first corner, that's the only thing I'm worried about.
And BP, that break's been clearly a masterstroke from you, given the way she's bounced back. But the reasons why you decided to give her that spell, did you notice anything physically? Did you just think it was a mental thing and just thought she needs a break? She's coming back fresh, and fingers crossed she's going to return to what she was showing probably a month prior to when you made that call.
No, well, I couldn't put my finger on what was wrong with her. We couldn't find anything wrong with her. We brought her home, and yeah, I got Robbie Britton to go over it for me, have a look at her, and he said there's nothing wrong with her. And so we just thought, oh, well, she's raced since I've had her sort of week in, week out, and gone from, you know, racing over 390 before we got her to racing over 700. And the trips up there probably took its toll. I'm hoping that. She trialled good up there beforehand, but then from then on, it sort of she wasn't the same. So just give her a bit of a break and freshened up, and it's definitely helped her.
Yourself and Peter Byrne teamed up to purchase her after she had about 12 or 13 starts, Brendan. Is it safe to say that she's well and truly exceeded the expectations that you had on her when you did purchase her? Because at that point in time, she was only racing in restricted win grade, and now we look at her, she's already a Group 1 winner and potentially a 2-time Group 1 winner come this Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Peter rang me and just said, I've got one here for you to have a go at and see what you reckon. And he said she's out of the staying line, and just see what you think. And from day dot, she just never let me down. And when I trialled her, she trialled good, and she just regressed that good. And like through 500s and to 600s, and then she just kept saying she's going to run 700, and she did.
And moving on to the other star of your team in McInerney, the $1 million chase winner. No luck on Saturday night. How's he pulled up afterwards?
Yeah, no, he seems fine. Yeah, look, it's just one of those things where it's about boxes, and with him, he's a little bit tardy early, so he's always going to need that bit of luck early. And, yeah, he was out the back and it was all over after 15, 20 metres. So, yeah, like we're just going to sort of do a bit of a program, work out where we're going to go with him next, and, yeah, we'll probably have an easy week this week.
Just going back to Susie, Brendan, you mentioned Rob Britton, obviously spent a lot of time there at Rob's. I guess he's commonly known of as, I guess, the doyen of training stayers here in Australia. Is there anything that you specifically picked up from Rob's that you use day to day with regards to training Susie?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I train mine exactly like Rob does. Yeah, we sort of feed nearly exactly the same. Everything he does, I try and implement in my training too. And the way that's set up here with the runs and the heavy sand and the work we can get into them, I'm sure we can get them a lot stronger than a lot of people that don't work them quite as hard. It doesn't work for every dog, but the ones that can cop it and be able to cop the work, yeah, I think they benefit from it.
Pardon me, mate. Team's going fantastic. It's great to have two really, really good dogs up and going for the carnival, mate. So I wish you all the best Saturday night and further into the carnival.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And there's Brendan Purcell, who's always really good with us here on Sky. Let's have a look at a couple of the other winners on the night. We did mention Corborn Magic, Jacko. Some performance by the dog here. Backed up from Thursday night at Dapto. Just having a chat to the team on the way down today. Basically got home in the early hours of the morning. Friday, they just basically didn't get him up, just let him rest all day, and he was basically back in the car again the next morning. It just says something about the dog's attitude, his constitution, and his will to win. He's just a terrific dog.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a terrific dog. It was such a good win at Dapto, beating that hot field over the 600. The only little concern you had was he going to be flat, but he jumped clean, and you can just see how powerful he is. Late in the race, first look at Sandown as well, so you would think he'll improve off that, having a week now between runs. Yeah. You would like to think he's going to improve a fair bit, and he probably didn't need to improve a lot to begin with, so yeah, I think he's one of the main chances for sure.
Now, I know I didn't like the price of Untapped when we looked at that market before. Her run there was very good. You've got to remember it's only her second 700 in quite a while, so she'll derive a lot of benefit from that. I just thought conversely, price-wise, she was no value compared to Corborn Magic. But Patch, I'll come to you for comment on Stagger Out Lee. 41.78 was a good performance. She was fresh off winning, in inverted commas, the marathon at Wagga. I thought this was a new PB for her. When we have seen her down there in Victoria in the past, Patch, I thought she'd just come up short against probably dogs not even of this quality, but she was a lot stronger to the line here.
Yeah, super strong to the line, and she had the fastest closing last section of any other greyhound who lines up in this Boltrees final. And look, she's showing glimpses of performances like this, but I think this is the best of what she's been able to offer, and now she's lining up in a Group 1 final. There we see Amani Bale wearing the green rug there as well. And I want to give a lot of credit to her trainer, who's in Jack Strutt, because you see his name line up on the form guide, and you see the suburb in brackets afterwards. It says Springvale, and people make that assumption, geez, he must just live around the corner from Sandown. It's in Springvale, New South Wales, which is a suburb just outside of Wagga Wagga. So he's done a stack of travelling, and he deserves to be pat on the back for the way he's got Stagger Out Lee going at the moment, and he absolutely deserves his spot in a Group 1 final as a trainer.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, anyone who wants to come and race at the city tracks here in Sydney, I mean, Wagga to Wentworth Park's not exactly down the road, so when you've got a city class dog and you train in the country, you're going to be a victim of doing a lot of Ks. But as Patch said, he's obviously doing a good job with her.
Yeah, absolutely. She's just gone to a new level. You could have made a case sort of 2 or 3 months ago if you lined her up against Corborn Magic, she wouldn't get close. But with what Patch said, with her having the fastest closing sectional, if there's any scrimmaging at the front of the field and she's back, she'll be charging late.
Yep. All right, to get us to a break, this is a Remember When, and this is basically just a recurring theme if you've been watching the show for the last 5 or 6 years. In the run-up to the Boltrees, you'll see this race every year. It must be Cat Ernst's favourite dog and or favourite race. Texas Gold winning the 2005 Boltrees.
and they're racing. And Texas Gold out to the tail of the field, settling down away fast there. Mid-City Mandy went through to lead now from Best Quoted, second, followed by Rocky, who's third. Over on the inside, Arvo's Athena, followed by Poison Ivory. 3 lengths away then came Texas Gold, going to the outside on the move. 5 lengths away then came Pristine Lighton and Shellbird at the tail, racing to the back straight on Mid-City Mandy, the lamplighter. Far length aside of Best Quoted, followed by Rocky, who's third. 3 lengths away then came Arvo's Athena, followed by Texas Gold, the outside. Poison Ivory, followed by Shellbird and Pristine Lighton up to the turn. A packing field where up goes Best Quoted now to take the lead. Arvo's Athena down the outside. Texas Gold down the outside, flying. Texas Gold back to the winner's circle tonight. Wins it from Arvo's Athena and Rocky. A brilliant run by the winner.
Australia's best sprinters stepped out in the wet and wild conditions on Saturday night to contest 8 heats of the Group 1 Melbourne Cup. One of the standout performances of the night belonged to Paddy Wants Pats, the regally bred son of Black Magic Opal and 3-time Group 1 winner Striker Light, upstaging local champ Wow She's Far.
Paddy Wants Pats is 8 in front. Trying hard was Zipping Lopez, but Paddy's going to get all the Pats tonight. Paddy Wants Pats wins. Second home Valafale. Third he was Zipping Lopez.
The boy Paddy was outstanding tonight. Firstly, the run itself, he went straight to the top. That 5:01 just make us so proud and give you confidence leading into a big final.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need it next week from box 8, isn't he? Yeah, look, he's been beginning really well. He's just been finding a little bit more strength at the end, so I don't know, we'll see how he goes.
Box 8's going to be tough, of course, but I guess it's the thrill of making a race like this. He's already ran second in the Australian Cup behind Lala Kiwi. He now finds himself in the Melbourne Cup. It's really what you guys are in the sport for, isn't it? Be a part of races like this, it must be a massive thrill.
Oh, it is. Like Brett sort of set a big task for him when he hurt himself in the Perth Cup. He said, "I'll just want to get back and win the Melbourne Cup with him. That'll do." And so he's here. But yeah, it'll be tough. Like we've had 3 box 8s prior to this one in the Melbourne Cup, and they've all not been very successful. So, but you know, as long as he pulls up well and he gets around safely, that's the main thing.
Is he the favourite of the whole team? What sort of personality does he have?
He's pretty much what you say is what you get. He's very quiet. He's pretty professional. Yeah, he's very easy. Doesn't do anything wrong. And we've only got 2 or 3 race dogs, so he's easy to be a favourite. Yeah, for sure.
Well, good one to have. It's a big week, and you've made it through to the greatest race. Best of luck, Kelly.
Thank you, Ta. Thanks.
More intelligent bloke with a bit of vocabulary than me might be able to come up with the right words here, Patch. But I just find the story around Paddy Wants Pats and his breeding and the synergy with last year's winner just it's just compelling. Striker Light and Uphill Jewel were probably the best rivals I think we've seen in greyhound racing for 10 years, roughly, give or take, Patch. One wouldn't never let the other get the wood on them. Of course, Uphill Jewel through Koblenz, the winner of last year's Melbourne Cup. So what does Striker Light do this year? She throws Paddy Wants Pats, and could we have 2 girls going back to back breeding Melbourne Cup winners?
It's a massive chance, and you're right. That was one of the great rivalries in a countless amount of group racing features. They went punch for punch for what would have been at least 12 months. They were absolute jets. And then, of course, the story of Uphill Jewel and her Melbourne Cup story was, I think, had a collision with, must have been Raw Ability when they were both about to vie for the lead. And that was her out. And, of course, Striker Light made her way through to a cup final as well. So, yeah, an amazing pair. And obviously, Koblenz got the job done last year for David Geelan. Here goes Paddy coming into a Melbourne Cup series. Probably, you're tempted to say career best form, but he's never really been out of it, has he? Because week to week, he just turns up with the same sort of stuff.
Yeah, look, I don't think we can downplay the achievement of the Bravos to get him back to this level, because this is a dog who dropped a back muscle and not many come back as good as he has. Let's have a look at the market quickly. Plaintiff's your favourite 230. Amron Boy unlikely to get a start, second reserve. And then we have $6 Titan Blazer, Vice Grip and Paddy Wants Pats. There's a little bit of value with a couple of those runners. Our next guest, and I'm very, very pleased to be bringing this gentleman on, a bloke who certainly, and this will probably make him feel a bit old, but as a young bloke, I thought was probably one of the most respected conditioners in the country, certainly one of the most astute. Daryl Holmes, thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks, Josh. It's a pleasure.
We'll get straight into it to Eldorado because, of course, I want to know about dogs years gone by. So I'll let the boys get the questions out of the way. The important questions first. Is he named after the John Wayne movie?
No, he is not. He's actually named after a little village not far out of Wangaratta, where my mother was born and brought up.
Now, Daryl,
gold mining town.
Now, Daryl, he's had a number of issues throughout his career. Just talk us through those and how much work has gone into getting him back to this level of being a big player in a Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, he started his career quite well. He won through the grades at Sandown, his maiden and 6th and 7th grade, and in one of his starts soon after that, he's actually torn 2 hip support muscles in his career, and we've also had a lot of trouble with his blood, and we've forgotten about it now because his white cells are continually very low, around about the 2,300 mark at best. So there was times where we sort of spelled him for 2 months to see if we could get his blood right, and we've given up now. It doesn't seem to be making much difference to him, but for those that follow their blood tests, they know that that's less than optimum. But and what we did after his last hip support injury, we give him about half a dozen runs, probably about 4 or 5 at Traralgon and a couple at Warragul around the Big One bends, just to get him conditioned, really, to get him toughened up, if you like, into racing before we took him back to Sandown, and we left it really late to introduce him to the Meadows, and he's, that may be now his preferred track, I'm not sure, but he's obviously going the best he has.
And Zoe, it must feel like Jason Lincoln, with the amount of media opportunities you've been asked to fulfil over the past 48 hours, but on your boy Eldorado, I know you were frustrated for a period of time that he kept drawing wide, and on paper in those races it looked quite ordinary, but I think now you've got a belief that might have made him as a race dog and helped him learn a lot quickly.
Yeah, absolutely, Jace. And just on the media thing, I'm on my 3rd lot of makeup today, mate. So with, there's no doubt about it, he was always a keen railer, although he just needs a little bit of room at the first turn at Sandown. If you notice, he gets a little bit out of whack at the first turn. So the runs he's had from the wide box have really improved his manners. He's running straight, running the rail but not crashing, and he's probably putting together now better than he ever has. It's just a pity Saturday night that Paddy wants Pat Strawny's outside. I would much prefer it was inside, but if Paddy runs 5:01, well, it's probably not going to matter. It's going to miss him.
We've spoken about your boy in Eldorado, but talk us through your story and how he came about, because I know you've been long-time friends with Rob Basua. He had that bitch called Gold Vein, who in the end you bred with her to produce this litter that Eldorado has been a part of. So talk us through that, I guess, when you met Robbie and how you come about to sort of get together and say, right, we're going to breed this litter.
Yeah, no, I've known Robbie for 30-odd years or more. Robbie used to be the starter at the Meadows. He worked there for about 20 years, I think. He comes from a good racing family. His father was heavily involved in Victoria in the GOTBA back in the bygone era, and his brother was Billy Lasur, the trotting trainer and driver. So it's a big racing family. And Rob, when we had our property down at Yarragon when my son was training, he trained a number of dogs for us, and actually had a couple of very successful trips to Sydney with dogs like Eden Valley and Leo Buring. And he's a really good trainer, and most of all, he's a great bloke. And there's never any questions or arguments or anything. We know each other's form, and he's a pleasure to do something with. And this dog's really the result of his astuteness, I guess. He bought 3 pups. He was looking, when he retired from the Meadows, or just before, he's a mad fisherman, so he bought a place up at Mulwala, just over the border from Yarrawonga, and he bought, he's going to build 3 kennels, so he bought 3 pups off Wayne Fasalo, and they were little brothers and sisters. The 2 dogs were handy, and the bitch, she was quite a handy bitch. She wasn't a super bitch, but she won her share of races. And when she finished, he rang up and said, look, how about we get together and if you can whelp the litter, and we'll split the pups up, and she's now had 4 litters, and the first 3 litters the third litter's already produced winners the other night at Sandown, and the 4th litter's to Tommy Shelby, about 5 months old. But
you've spent your whole life a part of this sport, Dale, and particularly around Sandown, and I'm sure you know the Melbourne Cup history inside and out, and have a lot of memories. How does it feel, and what sort of rush is it to have a live chance like you do this time around?
Oh, no, it's really good. I mean, I saw my first cup in, I think it was 68, Rocket Street. Used to live 4K down the road for about 25 years. I'd like $1 for every minute I spent at the Sandown Greyhound track. Seen most of the Melbourne Cups. Got in one final before with Petit Verdot. Was in the cup that Bombastic Shiraz won. So that was a thrill in itself, in that a Black Shiraz dog won the cup. And yeah, no, it's massive. It was great Saturday night, and it's terrific for the family as well. I mean, they've had to put up with me for a lot of years, so it was great. And it's really great to be in the final, and I'm not worried about winning it. I just hope the dog gets a crack at it and gets around safe.
We all hope that, of course, and we're all very excited for Saturday, Daryl, but none more so than who I believe is your grandson, Rory Holmes. He's made a Melbourne Cup replica out of Lego. How keen is he for Saturday night?
Yeah, he's pretty keen, mate. Yeah, he's 7 going on 70.
That's outstanding. He's got a physique on him too, just quietly. Mate, I want to talk about the dog that's just over your left shoulder there, Black Shiraz. We didn't get to see him too many times, just I think a dozen times in all. He won 7 races. Went on to be a super sire, of course, Bombastic Shiraz, Stately Bird, Primo Uno, some fantastic dogs. But just take us through maybe your favourite Black Shiraz memory.
Well, the favourite memory is just the satisfaction of how well he did at start, because all through his career, both racing and then even later on when he went infertile, I never thought the dog was going to have a chance to prove himself. When we broke him in, I take him to Warrnambool and trial him, and people couldn't believe the times he was running as a pup, and he had problems with a hock, and unfortunately that just got worse the further his career went. And I don't think he raced till he was 2 1/4 because of that. And I really threw him into that race at Wentworth Park. It was the Centenary Maiden. And he won the final and the semi-final, the final, all of the best of the night. And then we took him, I thought that much of him, we took him straight to the Gold Coast Cup at Southport. And he won his heat. He beat $10 I think in his heat. And he ran 4th in the final, beaten 2 lengths by Flying Amy. And there's some great dogs in that race, Franklin Mint, dogs like that. And from then on, he won a few races, but he was gone, sort of. And I heavily promoted him when he went to stud, and we were lucky to get the bitches. Darren McDonald helped me out there, and he had basically a full book for the first 12 months, and I think in his first 10 litres he threw 2 Group 1 winners. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. A phenomenal effort. And where would you put Eldorado in comparison to Black Shiraz and other good dogs you've had over the journey?
Oh, they're the best 2 dogs I've had. You want to go back to 78. I had a good bitch called Delburn Babe. She held the track record at Olympic Park and won 20 races, including a couple at Errol Park. And I was a novice trainer then. I didn't know what I was doing. She was fantastic. She picked these stars up today and carry them. Eldorado's not far off Black Shiraz. They're very similar dogs. They're absolute perfect temperaments. Just walk them on a piece of cotton. I remember when I used to take Black Shiraz to Sydney in the old station wagon, and you'd look in the rear vision mirror and he'd be laying on his back with his feet sticking up in the air and wouldn't move for 10 hours, I've never had a good dog that's had a bad temperament. And both those dogs are very similar, and Black Shiraz might have had a fraction more explosive pace, but Eldorado's not far off him.
Absolutely. Mate, we wish you all the best on Saturday night. As you said, it's quite an achievement to get there, but there you may as well go and win the bloody thing, Daryl. So all the best, mate.
Thanks very much.
There's Daryl Holmes. Get the feeling you could sit and talk greyhounds with Daryl all day, quite frankly. Let's have a look at a couple of the replays from Saturday night. Let's have a look at Plaintiff. He won his heat from box number 4. Of course, Kasiah had the red here. She's a Pearl was in the yellow. Kasiah punched up, held Plaintiff initially here, Patch, and you would have thought, well, it's advantage red here, but he's been able to come off the canvas here, Plaintiff.
Yeah, he has, and look, 29.66 wasn't the fastest of the heats, but I think just the way the race played out was really impressive because he was stuck outside of Kasiah, as we saw, and that gap opened up, and he just made that crucial decision to go straight underneath and go on and win the race. So we know typically he goes straight to the top, he sets your fast sectionals, and it's catch him if he can sort of style of racing. So for him to win the way he did, I think it says a lot more about the performance than what it just does looking at the time.
All right, let's have a look at him. Here he is, the People's Champ, Vice Grip, box number 5. It's a separate topic, I know, Jacko, and I know you're the most biased Vice Grip man around. This is typical Vice Grip. This, if you were just to roll out a race that would typify him, it's, you know, not in the best position first turn, just will yourself into the spot and guts it out and get home. How is he not selected in the Phoenix, this dog, yet? There's one slot left. The people of Peter Sadler, I would think, would be should be zeroing in on this dog.
Yeah, well, we might have an announcement in a couple of days' time if he can come out and win a Melbourne Cup on Saturday night. But there was all the talk before his heat that he hadn't trialled that well, but he's just a race dog.
Hadn't trialled well, had a horrible box. I mean, everything was against him, but this is the thing. This is great race dogs as compared to, you know, the fast dogs that we've all had from time to time that control you anything you like. He just gets it done on the right day. We've got some really good vision around Vice Grip as well, and this probably sums up, as I've called him, Patch, that he is the People's Champ.
Yeah, absolutely is, and throw in probably the worst part of rain that we saw throughout the evening just before that race. And here we see the local pub of Glenn Pask, who of course is the part owner and also breeder, along with his brother in Grant Pask of Vice Grip, and Ross it off, and bells are ringing, Blaze and Bomber, the list goes on. And I tell you what, they're up and about. Here he starts to loom up, storming through the rain, and this is where the pub absolutely erupts. And Wiz, I'm sure, maybe not from an ownership point of view, but especially from a punting point of view, when you get the whole pub in your side and the roof's about to lift, nothing beats it.
You've seen it, Patch. We had the vines pumping there in Richmond last Sunday, getting around us with, you know, winners from Cranji and, you know, Seoul, Korea. We were betting everywhere, Jacko. So yeah, look, great scenes. And the woman down the front in the pink, she picked it pretty early in the piece, didn't she? I think she had her last on, Jacko. You could see her warming into it very early.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she went as soon as he got across into second onto the rail. I think that's when she started. So
absolutely.
And all credit to them. He's a big player on Saturday.
For sure and certain. To get us to another break, another Remember win, and another superstar greyhound race dog, Go Wild Teddy, but just as good a sire.
Racing, Go Wild Teddy began okay away past their Mystical Gem. Go Wild Teddy's going to go to the front on the turn out of the straight, and the favourite takes the lead. Go Wild Teddy in front, Classic Capri second, Days Meadow near the tail. Going down the back end, the leader here was the favourite, Go Wild Teddy, 3 clear. Classic Capri followed by Dutchie's Angel third. 3 or 4 to Kill the Bandit, followed by Days Meadow. Mystical Gem well back with Trousers and Big Smink. The leader was Go Wild Teddy turning for home, having a crack at a Classic Capri, but it's Go Wild Teddy in front. Go Wild Teddy wins the cup by a length and a half.
We kick off this week's wrap at Albion Park last Wednesday for heats of the prestigious Dave Brett Memorial. The fastest qualifier for this week's final was the Jeff Crawford trained Mighty Gun, the son of Superior Panama and Nanza Gun. Ultra impressive on debut.
Out in front, Starline Express rolling along clear by 4 lengths. Mighty Guns trying to whittle into the margin. A big gap further back then to Amendola around the turn. Starline Express in front. Mighty Guns coming. Mighty Gun lifting late, dives and might have got up right on the peg.
Next, it's off to Dapto on Thursday night, where a top field contested the middle distance challenge at Group 3 status. It was the start of a big 48 hours for Corborn Magic, who was brilliant when storming home from behind, picking up a deserved feature race success.
The outside, Zipping Novak. Well back, Grim Madara and Punter's Bandit. They're in the back straight now. It's Coast Model about to be joined by Good Odds Emma. Good Odds Emma hit the lead from Coast Model. Father Rick's running on. Corborn Magic's weaving through around the turn. It's Good Odds Emma cornering 3/4. Corborn Magic grabbed her in a stride right over the top. Corborn Magic too good.
On the same night, we ventured to the Apple Isle, where qualifiers of the Devonport Chase were held at Hobart. Local star Nalem Fencer could be in for a massive few months, annihilating his rivals in scorching time, the only heat to better the 26-second mark.
Buckle Up Elise sticking on in second to Willamilo. Further back, Zipping Riley, then Vintage Fame, but Nalem Fencer's going to nail him well and truly. Nalem Fencer wins well.
The Festival State also had feature racing last Thursday, with 2 semis of the Brian Johnston Run and One. This week's decider worth $25,000 to the winner. Machismo was an eye-catching qualifier, putting in a last-to-first performance off box 2 to bring up win 3 at start 17 for Vadam Ros.
And back at the tail, Bedrock will up front. Leader is Spring Honor, out by 3 to Machismo. Making some ground, Yarramundi Turbo. Machismo's moving up, takes the lead, too good.
And finally, it's back to New South Wales, where heats of the Casino Cup were run on Friday afternoon. It was a big afternoon for Michael Lalix, who won 2 heats with littermates Suave Ripple and Rapid Ripple, the well-bred youngsters by Fernando Bell out of Ripple Rumble.
Behind those Far Too Far, well back is Kenya Wilder, so is Aurora Dan, Springview Hawk. Far Too Far's been pushed to the rear. Getting away was Rapid Ripple. They've specced it at odds. Charged 3 clear on Context and 2 strong Rapid Ripple.
It was the dulcet tones of Mark Arundale there at Casino for the heats of the Cup last Friday. Let's have a look at that market. If you want to shop outside the favourites here, Jacko, Jesus and value. Lewis Rumble and Respectability, obviously the 2 class dogs and the 2 litter mates. I mean, I'd have to go back and watch the heats again, but just looking purely at the prices, $21 take 2. That seems well over the odds for me. Well over the odds.
Yeah, well, we've seen him run some blistering times in the past, so if he could replicate that, particularly at Casino where he generally would be up on speed, he'd take a lot of running down. But that performance of Rapid Ripple to overcome a slow start, particularly at Casino, was quite brilliant, and he's come up with box 1 in the final, so he'd probably need to jump a little bit cleaner to avoid getting jammed up, but he'd be some winning chance, I would have thought.
For those nerds with a really good memory, you'll remember back to the Mick Byrne Memorial, which was the novice feature over the carnival in the summer, and Rapid Ripple won that. I remember saying at the time that this race will show up a lot of potential group winners in the future. Let's have a look at Lewis's Rumble in his heat, 27 and 60. He's obviously the class runner of the series, Patch. We know him as a group class dog in the city, and well, up on, I guess it is his local deck these days up at Casino with no Lismore. He's going to take a lot of beating in the final, quite obviously.
Yeah, clearly, and such a good dog, as we know, for such a long period of time. A prominent winner. He's never really racked up at picket fence. He always finds some hard luck every now and then, but the most important thing is he picks himself off the canvas and just a manic chaser, loves the race, and that's all of the reasons why we love Lewis Rumble.
The Devonport Chase, which was formerly the Devonport Cup, had their heats run and won in Hobart on Thursday night. And let's have a look at the performance of, let's have a look at the market first. We saw Nalem Fencer in that play on win impressively. He's 2.20 ahead of Who Told Tough. We've got a replay of him standing by, and Do It, who everyone will know from Victoria and, well, pretty much all over Australia. He's been everywhere. Runs second in this heat we're about to watch, and it was a good performance as well. He has box 6. Who Told Tough has box number 8. Patch, don't know if you took any of this Devonport Chase action in on Thursday, but that Nalem Fencer, as I said, he seems to go under the radar, even though we seem to show replays of him each and every week.
Yeah, indeed, and sometimes when you're off Broadway in getting those sort of situations. But for Who Told Tough, who wins his heat, have a look at Do It getting home as he does. But Who Told Tough, his dam is Who Told Lindy Lou, of course, produce the famous and the late Simon Sold Helen, and also Who Told Stevie, and under the same ownership group as well, led by Brian Parsons. So good to see that line producing some fast ones ongoing.
Yeah, there's a little brother with Tony Brett that goes okay as well, and I think Brendan's got Who Told Shorty, who's arguably the best one out of the litter. To get us to the last of our breaks, this is our kennel keeper for this week. And this was Thursday night, box number 1. Not brilliantly away, Silk, but brilliant in the middle stages, 29-27. Won his first 2 at Sale in the manner of a really good dog. And if he ever gets those box manners, well, if he gets them cleaned up a bit, he may well be top class.
Leader was Silk, and it goes well. 2 in front. Your Colour Room gets to second, running on. Clear then of Kanji Service. Silk the leader. After it was Your Colour Room, but Silk too good for Your Colour Room. 4 away, Kanji Service.
Hi guys, it's great to be joining you again this week on Across the Ditch. Well, things are starting to settle down a little bit here in New Zealand after New Zealand Cup Week, but we do still have terrific racing happening around the country. And today I want to highlight a couple of exciting youngsters from the Lisa Cole kennel. The first dog that we're going to take a look at is Space Boy, who made it 3 from 3 when he lined up at Cambridge on Sunday afternoon. This is a greyhound doing his first couple of starts at number 2, recorded the quickest times of the day. He's gone up to Cambridge and he has delivered off box 7. He's gone straight to the lead over 457 metres. He's won it by 9.5 lengths in 25.60. The fastest of the day was 25.51, and that time was recorded by top open class chaser Mustang Charlie. Space Boy, look, he's by SH Avatar and he's out of All About Space, and this entire litter is looking like they're going to be some pretty promising greyhounds. The other dog that we're going to take a look at is Big Time Noise, who also made it 3 from 3 on Sunday afternoon at Cambridge. Let's check out her win. She was the $1.20 favourite and she's jumped off box 6. She's ended up winning the race by over 6 lengths in 21.41. She's by Aston DB out of Big Time Vanessa, and look, across her first 3 races so far, her cumulative winning margins have been close to 20 lengths. So a few greyhounds to jot down on your black books, I think Space Boy and Big Time Noise, and we'll catch you again next week Across the Ditch.
The lovely Liz Whelan there with Across the Ditch. A couple of smart dogs that you're going to absolutely stick in your black book. Just a jack off air, fancy going to Manukau and run into a 25.60 dog in a Class 1. Let's have a look at the dog diary, and plenty of features this week. Of course, on Thursday night, the heats of the Queensland Flame. So the first 4, there's 2 heats, I believe. The first 4 will go through into the final next week, and the winner will be off to Melbourne. And just thinking ahead, Jacko, I would say De Ferrin is your favourite for that series. I'm pretty sure he came up with a red in the heat, so he'll be going around the final barring accident or injury. The Dave Brett Memorial, the Devonport Chase at Hobart on Thursday, the Brian Johnson at Angle Park, Group 3 action from Casino, and then it's all eyes on Saturday, all eyes on Sandown on Saturday. Of course, the Melbourne Cup, the Bold Trees, and a host of other features to keep you occupied throughout the night. That maiden, the Vicbred maiden on Cup night, throws up a sensational field each and every year. So absolutely watch that with a view to the future. What's the rest of the week look like for you, Jacko?
It'll be a stock standard week for me. Wenny Park tomorrow, Dapto Thursday, Golf Friday, and Wenny again on Saturday night. But yeah, I'll certainly be watching all the action from Sandown. It's one of the great nights on the calendar.
A few runners this week for you. You've got a burgeoning list of new greyhounds that you've added to your CV.
Yeah, I'll have June, and he's in tomorrow night. He's probably hasn't drawn ideally outside Simply Limelight, and Mac Ibrox, and then Good Odds Emma after her second in the Middle Distance Championship last week. She'll be at Dapto on Thursday, drawn box number 1.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be getting rich there, Jacko. I'd say anything north of about $1.20 will be over the odds about her on Thursday. But anyway, it'd be nice to rack up a win with her in any case, if that is how it plays out. Thanks for your help today. Patch, very, very busy week upcoming for you, mate. We absolutely wish you all the best and hope it goes off well for you.
Thanks, mate. Looking forward to it. Just a quick plug as well. The Community Club Sweep, which the club is running, the main chances and the main clubs are part of that. The Warwick-Nabil Eagles with Plaintiff, Doveton Eagles with Titan Blazer, Vice Group is aligned to the Longwood Coursing Club, and then Paddy wants Pat's the Dandenong Football Netball Club. So 13 grand up for offer. All those community clubs are part of the final. So looking forward to everything that Saturday night's going to bring. As I touched on earlier, head to dreamchasersfestival.com.au for your general admission tickets. Unfortunately, we've lost one of the biggest acts that we've seen in recent years in Jason Lincoln. He won't be on track, but Joel Fletcher will be playing after the last.
Yeah, unfortunate that I won't be making the trip down there, Patch, this Saturday, but I'm sure you'll hold fort in great style. Yeah, as I said, look, really looking forward to Saturday night. We'll have a chasing winners. I think tomorrow night we'll certainly catch that online or on the website in any case. But until we see you next time here, we wish you good luck and good punting.